thing we're going to do is cut our first. This has a 1 on it. I noticed the pattern you sent me had letters, but I would go by this. I really liked how I didn't know which letters you did first or not, but following that is important. Excuse me, need a little coffee. So, what you're going to do is, since we're measuring number 1 first. Now, let me stop here and talk a bit about the fabric measurements they gave you. I don't go by the measurements. I have, oftentimes, I want a specific, like this fabric is pretty neutral, where it's not directional at all. But if I want a up and down, or if I want it on a certain way, I tend to start fussy cutting, shall we say, paper piecing now. So, and how I do it, there probably is a little bit more waste than when they give you the amounts. But I've also found that I would come up short on seams and have to rip it out and redo it. So that's why I don't pay attention to the directions, the cutting dimensions that they do, and I just measure. So we're going to do that. Now, so we're going to measure the first one. And the first one is relatively easy. You want to make sure it covers well. So you want to make sure it covers this, but I'm actually going to have it cover the whole thing for number 1. You don't have to have it cover the whole thing. You just want to make sure it's good and covered. So I am going to do cut a piece that's 3 1/4 by like 7 1/2 out of my roof fabric here. And you don't, exact isn't as big of a deal as making sure it's big enough. So I'm actually going to just throw on a little bit bigger here. So now what I'm going to do is, this is where I'm going to use my glue. Press that down so it's flat. And I am going to glue this on here. So I'm going to put a little bit on the opposite. This is my side I'm working on, so I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put a little dot of glue here. I use glue just so that the fabric doesn't shift. So I wipe off a lot of it, actually, so it doesn't stick later much. Put this on here and press it down. And this is so, again, the fabric doesn't shift. Okay, I'm going to stop it here because I have to go to a different angle.